Thanks for staying with us. Now, it's been less than 2 years into the first term of his presidency, but President Akufo-Addo is already talking about the legacy he'd want to leave for the Ghana Armed Forces. Speaking at the Military Academy graduation here in Accra, the Commander-in-Chief promised a new state-of-the-art training facility to make the Ghana Armed Forces a world-class soldiers. The President also urged officers of the Armed Forces to, at all times, prioritize the democratic credentials of the country and bring an end to the abuse of their uniform to intimidate civilians. There's more in the following report.
In all, 138 officers, including foreign nationals, graduated after a year of training and drills. The Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, addressing graduating officers, urged them to at all times prioritize the protection of the country's territorial integrity.
Our nation has become the standard bearer and beacon of democratic government on the African continent, receiving worldwide acclaim for its progress. We cannot achieve the growth in our economy that will provide the Ghanaian people with a dignified standard of living without peace and stability. As your Commander-in-Chief, I promise you that you will be provided with the necessary resources to carry out your roles effectively.
The President also revealed to the Ghana Armed Forces the legacy he would want to leave behind.
Plans have also been put in place for the building of new state-of-the-art infrastructure to meet the requirements of a 21st century training institution. This is a legacy I would want to bequeath to the Ghana Armed Forces.
President Akufo-Addo spelled out some bold policies to meet the infrastructure needs of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Funding has also been secured for the construction of a new Army headquarters, which will begin before the end of the year. A contract has also been signed for the construction of a forward operating base at Nzulebu in the western region to protect our oil resources. In conjunction with the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, the Ministry of Defense has ordered 6 patrol boats for the Ghana Navy to help in the protection of our maritime resources and our oil fields.
The President also announced that the Defense Minister will in the coming months cut short for work to start on the Commander-in-Chief Sports Stadium program, starting with Tamale in the northern region.
Now, the Ministry of Finance is collating input of stakeholders for the 2019 to 2022 budgets. It's the first time the ministry is engaging the citizenry outside Accra. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says the initiative is meant to ensure the budget is people-centered and people-driven than it has been previously done. He revealed government has spent over 8 billion Ghana cedis in cleaning the banking sector in what has become the banking crisis. Mr. Ofori-Atta was speaking at the engagement held in Kumasi. Prince Appiah has more in the following report.
Many have often complained about the nature of consultation done as input for the annual budget. There have been calls that the budget often doesn't meet the expectation of the citizenry. Friday's event saw participants from various spheres of the economy, traders, businessmen, artisans met in Kumasi to deliberate and make suggestions into the 2019 to 2022 budget. It was organized by the Ministry of Finance and the Regional Coordinating Council in Ashanti region. Participants asked many questions ranging taxes, fuel prices, and the need for a better conducive environment for businesses to thrive.
The case, government still keep taxing the same people who are already paying taxes, which is overburdening us. So I told the minister how we are suffering from excessive taxes and high energy cost or not?
Because many a times you can get an NGO bringing in our working aids, our wheelchairs and crutches and what have you to support PWDs. But at the end of the day, they will end up paying taxes on all these things. And you don't know how this is helping us as a person with disability in our act.
One of the major discussions, however, was the banking crisis and the challenges that some employees are facing currently. Accompanied by his two deputies, the Finance Minister, Henry Riata, reviewed over 8 billion cedis has been spent as part of moves to address the banking crisis.
We met with some banking crisis in which we have had to spend some 8 billion cedis or so to try and correct it. But that was necessary because of over 1.2 million depositors' accounts in there, and it would have been quite cataclysmic to allow the banks to fail. Not only did we save the depositors money, but also the depositors who had businesses and were employing people, we also saved them. So true, we've lost some jobs in the banking sector, but the consequences of not intervening would have been quite clear and to all of us.
Prince Apia reporting.
Now, President Akufo-Addo is said to have intervened in the raging controversy over the directive to management of public universities in the country to delete from government's payroll post-retirement contract lecturers aged above 65 years. The National Council on Tertiary Education gave the directive in a letter to the universities, but noted that they are allowed to retain the lecturers so long as they can pay them from their internally generated funds. But the move has been met with stiff opposition by the lecturers, who are warning the university risks losing experienced staff, with implications for academic progress in the tertiary institutions. President of the Legon branch of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, Dr. Harry Akpanu, in an interview with Maxwell Agbagba, says the president called a meeting on the matter and has asked that stakeholders sit down and resolve the issue.
As you teach, as you research, that is where you gain the experience, that you come to know your subject area better than anybody else. So you are an expert in the area. And when it comes to training postgraduates, you need people of, senior lecturer, professorial rank to be able to treat them, to train them. And so by the time you become a professor, you are almost 80, and you are almost 60 and above, generally, because it is not easy. And so if you are thinking that somebody who has spent his time to gather knowledge and is now in a position to train the younger ones, because he's 60, he should be thrown out, then you are not doing the country any service at all. That is why all over the world, most places, lecturers teach for as long as they are able to.
What is the way forward for UTAG? Already we've seen some opposition towards this, move. What is UTAG going to do?
The good news is that the President of the Republic has intervened. He called a meeting and has directed that the right thing be done. President thinks that it is not done anywhere. And so he has asked that the stakeholders should sit down and resolve this problem once and for all. And that we need the professors. Without the professors, our universities cannot be rated. So we are hopeful that in the next few weeks, this issue will be behind us.
Now, he described as unrealistic the option given the universities to retain the post-retirement lecturers on their internally generated funds, explaining that that fund has already been stretched because of government's failure to promptly pay subventions due them.
Government is supposed to fund universities 100%. As we speak, government is doing less than 50% of that funding. It's the universities that generate the funds to fill that gap for government. So if they are supposed to use that money to pay consultants, then where are we going? They will not have, some of the institutions will come crumbling down. They'll fold up. Some departments will fold up because the university will not have the money to pay them. So that is the difficulty. If government is funding universities 100%, and you are saying that the little whatever you get, use it to pay post-retirement contractors, that is fine. But government is not doing that. Government is not able to do that. As we speak, government funding is less than 50%. Where do the investors get the remaining 50%? I mean, to operate? It's through these internally generated funds. It's the same government, unfortunately, that wrote to the investors that they should pay 34% of the internally generated funds to consolidated fund.
What do you make of arguments put forward by the Auditor General that it is because we have a lot of people on post-retirement contracts that is why the public service is choked. In fact, he has made arguments that is what is contributing to graduate unemployment. So some people need to go out to enable others get jobs.
Unfortunately, in the university, it's not any graduate who can teach in the university. You need a PhD to start with. And how long does it take one to get PhD in Ghana, for example? And they are not even in the market to hire.
So now, what about the university students? What do they make of the new policy? Maxwell has been interacting with some of them, and here's what they had to say.
As a university, you want your research hub to be very effective. You need more professors, because it's these professors that can supervise PhD programs. And if you go to the various departments, you realize that they are understaffed when it comes to professors. And University of Ghana has positioned itself in such a way that it will be a research-based university, and that is what has even helped it to be acknowledged as one of the best.
And it was one of the visions of the Vice Chancellor, the immediate past.
And that there's a continuity ongoing. So what happens is that with the influx of private universities, people can go offer their bachelor's, their Master of Science in some degrees, but they would have to come here and then do their graduate programs. And these graduate programs can only be effectively supervised by professors.
I think this is a very sensitive issue because me, for instance, if I'm done with school and I want to come back and do something at my department, I'll need someone with such an experience to help me and stuff. Sometimes it will be prudent that spaces are left for us to also come and occupy, but then some positions I think are sensitive. And we all know that to the extent that they go to before they get these kind of PhDs and then the professorship and other things. So when they get there and it's time for them to impart that knowledge to us and they are forced to leave, it's a very worrying phenomenon.
You're welcome back. So let's go back to that issue of the directive to the universities to delete from government's payroll post-retirement contract lecturers aged above 65. Well, this appears to be splitting opinions, but whether you are against the policy or advocating for it, one thing is certain: it has both advantages and disadvantages. And joining me on the line to discuss this further are two people on opposing sides of the issue. We have Professor Langbong Bimi, who is head of the Department of Animal Biology and Conservation at the University of Ghana. He's also former UTAG president, who's opposed to the policy, and minority spokesperson on education, Peter Nochu Kotoi, who is all for the policy. Good evening to you and welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Good evening. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with you, Mr. Kotoi. You disagree with the policy. I've heard you argue that universities must find their own sources of funding or other means to engage the lecturers they feel they cannot do without. But in the absence of that, should we risk losing people who have garnered so much experience?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers nationwide and beyond. Yeah, this issue of retirement, there is a law in this country that when you are 60 and you are in public service, you must compulsorily retire. Then there's another provision that you can be engaged for 2 years if your services are needed and there is no immediate replacement available for you. Then you can get it renewed for another 2 years. Now, then you finally go out of the system. Now, with the university, they are given up to 65 years. That after 65 years, you must give way to somebody else. Now, I think that is fair enough. By the time you are 60 and you are leaving office, the authorities of the university must make sure that they invest in somebody, they groom somebody, they prepare somebody to take over from the one who is going finally at the age 65. So that the system will continue to produce a lot of people who will be consultants and experts. But if we say after 65, that individual should remain again without any replacement, are we going to have experts and very critical people who will be taking other positions in this country? And if we don't take time, people who are not being given the opportunity to rise and get that experience will be leaving the system for other areas or other institutions that they feel when they go there, they'll be given the opportunity to grow and get the experience and also reach a very high position. So the instruction or the directive that the university should pay them, I agree very, very much.
But Mr. Kotoye,
business conscious.
Hello,
Yes.
Mr. Kotoye. I'm sure you may have heard the UTAG president earlier saying that it is unrealistic for the universities to rely on their internally generated funds for this measure, because that fund has already been stretched because of government's failure to promptly pay subventions due them. Yeah,
but the thing is, our universities should not continue to be dependent on central government for everything. The universities must be very innovative. The universities must do things that will give them income, generate money, so that they can do things on their own. They shouldn't be totally dependent on central government. You see, yeah. So I feel strongly that at age 65, the university authorities should know, or they know, that this lecturer or senior lecturer or professor will go on retirement at age 60. The maximum he will do on contract is 5 years. So there are subordinates to that professor. So why don't you train others who are senior lecturers and then to also grow up and then take over from that person? You see, the unemployment rate in this country is high. So if we allow people to remain at post up to 70 years, 75 years, and so forth, fine. But that is not giving us the opportunity to groom people so that they can also take up leadership positions and get the experience that we need. So if only one person holds that knowledge and doesn't help others to hold that or to have that knowledge, so that there can be 2 or 3 experts in that field.
Okay.
It is helping the nation.
All right.
That
Hold
is
on
the
for me,
Mr.
Kotoye.
Yeah.
We have Professor Bimi also on the line. Professor, we heard the UTAG president say that when it comes to training postgraduates, you need senior people of professorial, rank to be able to train them. And by the time you become a professor, you are almost 60 and above. The counter argument, however, is that many people are acquiring their doctorates at a younger age these days. You don't have to wait until 60 to become a professor. So does that argument hold?
Hello?
Hello, Professor Bimi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thanks for joining us. I was asking that earlier, the UTAG president made the point that when it comes to training postgraduates, you need senior people of professorial rank to be able to train them. But by the time you become a professor, you're almost 60 years and above. And the counter argument is that many people are acquiring their doctorates at a younger age these days. You don't have to wait until you're 60 years old to become a professor. So does that argument hold?
Yes, thank you so much. Much as I think he has made his point, the university authorities are not oblivious of the fact that, yes, retaining these people has a financial burden on the university. But the truth of the matter, like the way he has put it simply, is that the mandatory age for retirement of other universities all over the world is not less than 70. You can go to West African University, Nigeria, for example. The retirement age is 70 for academic staff. You can go to East Africa, University of Nairobi. They even have a post-retirement policy for the university, which displays that because of the peculiar nature of the work of the university, the retirement age for senior academic staff who are into research and teaching is set at 70, not 65, not 60. Why are they doing this? They are doing it because at the age that you are retiring, if they mentally put it at 60, there are a number of constraints the university faces. To buttress this point, you can say that the contribution to the needs of the objectives of the university must be taken into perspective. Retention of such staff has a number of merits in terms of 1, institutional memory. 2, you can have knowledge management. 3, what he himself just mentioned, mentoring the younger staff. Then attracting research grants due to the wide network and exposure of these people who are above the 60 or 65 that we are talking of. And when you have these people in the universities, it enhances the institutional image and visibility. And mind you, we're now in a very, very competitive world. If your university is not going to be competitive, you are not able to attract grants, it's not the young faculty. And when we talk of mentoring, it's not somebody who has just had a PhD who can mentor. The other thing people are not trying to see clearly is that teaching is an art. The time that you have now gained all this experience and you are, for lack of a better word, about to explode, then you are told you should go on retirement. So I think, yes, with the stress on the test, on the national government for public sector universities, that is true. But let's look at the two, the lesser of the evils. Do you want these people to be retained and do the job for the benefit of humanity, or we train them, and when they're about to give us back what we train them for, then we send them on retirement and start training new ones? So I think, in all fairness, the university authorities are not oblivious of the pressure on the national purse, but let's be very, very realistic. This is the time that we need such people to mentor the young ones. And let's forget of this argument about employment and there's unemployment in the system and one person occupied the place for a long time. Yes, that one person can occupy the place for a long time. But what is the impact as compared to you training new ones, and they'll come and deliver less than quarter what this one person would have delivered to humanity?
Very well. Let me put that point to Mr. Koto, who's still on the line with us. Mr. Koto, perhaps there's some logic in the argument that we should not go on this tangent, because elsewhere people are allowed to actually lecture well into their 90s. In fact, here in Ghana, I believe Justice VCRAC Crab was lecturing in law up until the point he died at 97 or so.
Yeah, thank you very much. What I know, and we all know, is that we have a policy on retirement. And if the retirement age, and then the law allows that we have additional 4 or 5 years to engage any person we feel his services are needed for another period of time. Nothing stops us from doing that. But my point is that we must begin to mentor people. Because as human beings, anything can happen to us at any time. So we must prepare people who can take over immediately when the need arises. So that we don't say that without this person, without that man, nothing can happen. So, fine. He has given examples of other universities where the policy is 70 years before you go on retirement. We don't have that in our statutes in Ghana now.
Okay.
So what we have now is this thing. Okay. So I would urge the universities, to be very proactive in making sure that they train their staff, they make services available to them, whether local or foreign, to prepare them, groom them to take over from those who will be retiring probably at the age of 75 compulsorily.
All right.
That's what I am trying to say.
Very well. Many thanks. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. You've been listening to Minority Spokesperson on Education, Peter Nochu Kotoe. And earlier you heard Professor Lambong Bini. He is head of the Department of Animal Biology and Conservation at the University of Ghana. He's also a former UTAG president at Legon branch, speaking there on that particular controversial issue. But you're still listening to Joy News Prime. My name is Arba Kumson. We're taking a break. You're welcome back. Now, scores of people are reported missing and many living in fear in Japekrum after clashes between irate youth led to the death of 4, with 15 others sustaining various degrees of injuries. Spokesperson of Japekrum says a register has been opened for families to submit names of their missing relatives. Well, the feuding factions, Drobo Traditional Council and the Japekrum, have also accused the police of brutality as they begin to count their losses after the storm. Let's go over to the telephone line and speak to a journalist in the area, Nana Adams, who's with Enidaso FM in Drobo. Nana Adams, good evening and thanks for joining us. What is the state of the town as we speak?
Good evening.
Good evening to you. How calm is Japekrum 2 days after these violent clashes?
Good evening, and good evening to all your viewers this evening. As I'm talking now, like I can say, if you come to my south, Japekrum is calm, Drobutu is calm. They've put in a cut at 6 p.m. to the next morning 6 a.m. and good people of Jam and South are following us. The police and the soldiers are saying they have obeyed everything. As I'm talking now, everybody is in house, obeying what is going on. And those who have also, rushed from as I'm talking now, Honorable Bobi, the regional minister, he been to the scene. He went to Nananum of Japekrum and he consoled them for what has happened, and he ensured them that those who were involved of this issue, they will make sure that they will break them to book. The police are still on their investigation and very few minutes and they will get them, and people of Jam and South will, see it and then take action on that.
All right.
In Nananum of Japekrum, they also appeal to Honorable Buki that what has happened is very bad.
Okay.
So they are urging them that they should, head up in their investigation so that they can get those who did what happened the last Tuesday.
Very well.
And I also told them that the youth leader, he was a Muslim, and as you know, Muslims, when they die like that, they don't put them in prison. The man is so so they are begging them so that they can give the.
Very well. Thank you for that update. That's Nana Adams. He's with Enidaso FM in Drobo. But police in the area have been kept busy following the clashes. Let's go over to the telephone line and speak with the Regional Police PRO, Chief Inspector Augustine Kingsley. Many thanks for your time. Good evening.
Thank you, my sister. My name is Chief Inspector Augustine Kingsley Opong.
Kingsley Opong, thank you for the correction. Now, you've been accused by both sides of brutality. How do you carry out the peacekeeping duty with that tag hanging around your neck?
Thank you, my sister. That is one of the hazards of the work. Notwithstanding anything that comes our way, we say it is well with our soul. If not because of this incident, I've heard the name of Drobo and Japekrum and I've never stepped there. So for being biased to any other side, it's untrue. Notwithstanding police on the grounds, we are doing our best to sustain the peace that we were having before this incident.
We understand that there's heavy security presence in the town, but describe to us what state the town is in currently.
What they are saying is true, because if you are not proactive and you are reactive, then you have failed. So police, you have been proactive from the word go. Up to this time, police is on top of issues. And what have stopped it all is what we call curfew, put or imposed on the society around. And because of this, I can tell you that everybody... Hello?
Listen to you, sir.
Everybody is obeying what the authorities have put in place. So the place is calm for now.
All right, many thanks. And you heard Police PRO, Chief Inspector Augustine Kingsley Opong there. And the news is that there is a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew imposed on the town, and the police are refuting reports that they are biased in keeping the peace in that particular area. Let's move on to other stories. And Chinese Fujian company at Esichari, where several tons of tilapia were found dead in ponds, has been shut down. Images of the fish ponds containing the dead fishes, believed to have been postponed or poisoned rather, have been widely shared on social media. Greater Accra coordinator of the National Disaster Management Organization, Archibald Kobina, told the media after visiting the company's premises, preliminary investigations show the cages for the rearing of the fishes were not properly constructed. He also added the environmental situation at the company is not up to standard, but he assured they are working to ensure the cause of the problem is ascertained.
For looking at the environment that they operate is the cause of all this problem. And looking at the situation here and what I've seen here, it is their own cause. This is their own negligence that has caused all this problem. Compared to all the fish farmings that we've actually traveled all along to this place, I mean, you can actually see sanitation very well. And looking at what the Chinese company is doing here, it is really an eyesore.
So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, for now, the measures is we're closing their company down for them to make sure they put proper channel in place.
People should be calm. The situation is under control. There's been an order for them to stop work, but like it's not just them. There are other cages as well, and you were part of the rounds that we did. You saw some of the other places. What is happening there? The fishes are very lively as they were being fed. You could see how they were all struggling to get a bite of the fish meal. And so the public should have, they should be calm. I think the women who were trying to take some of the fish to go and sell have all been impounded by our district team and the district assembly chief executives team and the police. And so they've all been returned back. They were caught just around the area and they were all returned back. So from the reports that we are having, we've not had any contaminated fish that had been sent on the market. Meanwhile, I think that because samples of the water have also been taken, the EPA have they just left here, and the other bodies. We at NADMO, our district director with the chief executive, they've also sent samples for lab tests. Once these tests come out, and then we all get to have a very firm, confirmed results, then we know how the direction we're going. But as of now, I think that people should calm their nerves. The situation is under control. There's even a police on standby with our NADMO team to ensure that everything is contained and everything is under control.
Well, District NADMO Coordinator Nana Asante Boateng, who was also at the company's premises, confronted the Chinese officials of the company over the incident and ordered them to clean up. Watch.
Look at what I'm seeing. And now it is in all social media as if somebody has polluted the Volta Lake. But meanwhile, it is not like that. Looking at all where I've walked from Sunday to today, this is what I am still doing comparison. Look at all the situation. How can you skin fishes and leave it, dump it in the water again? Meanwhile, you know all what you're doing there is very sensitive.
Yes, yes.
So, James, I would not like to talk to you, but what I am expecting of you is, I am ordering you today, now, to start doing all these things.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yes, they should start now. And I wanted to go around on all the cages, get your operators that operate your speedboats. Let me check everything here before I leave.
I already called them because this morning people seriously.
The other places are not like that, but now it is on a picture that is painted outside that the whole water lake is being poisoned. Where is being poisoned? And all where I've walked through, look at what I've seen. Look at all this. Have you seen it? And now it have to be a national security issue.
One minute, I called them. Okay.
They should come right now.
Well, he assured that dead fish has not found its way onto the market as has been speculated.
It's true. It was the 14th October, which is the Sunday. I was called by one of the fish farming company there that this is the problem they're going through. And so quickly I rushed there with my team to go and explain what is happening. And when we get there, we realize that it is true. What is happening? I mean, but it is not like normal what we've been experiencing when normally they spill the dam. And so we actually told them that, okay, no problem. Let us experience it to the next day and see what will happen. At least the next day, which is the 15th, we visited. I mean, the situation is getting out of hand. And so quickly we have a stakeholders meeting and realize that no, what is happening, it is obvious. So there's no need we have to send all this fish to market. So we have to stop the operation. So quickly we stop the operations and then make sure that we see the cause of what is happening to the fish before we can actually bring it to the market for consumption. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, we were able to get, we went and dug a pit and then we moved all the dead fish to go and bury that so that it doesn't get to the market center. So basically that is what we did for now to at least hold the situation.
So how soon are you bringing the report?
Okay, with the reports, you know, they have to work on it at the standard board. And so they're working on it. But basically, I'm sure before at the close of today, maybe we might actually have it because we send the report, that is Monday. And so definitely they're working on it because we have to give them ample time for them to work on it so that we have the actual cause of it. But when we rise there, maybe the result will be. So we are waiting just for the result. But basically, I know for sure at the close of today, tomorrow, we might have the report out. So that's.
We always receive information that, you know, these Chinese and whatever doing the operations there do have, you know, negative effect on this tilapia and what have you fishing over there. How long can we sit down to see these things happening?
Okay, thank you. It's like what you said. We hearsay. You'll never see anybody pointing that I said, or this is what I've seen. You know, these people have been in operation for almost 10 years. You know, some have been there for almost 5 years. You know, at SNADMO, we normally go there to inspect their activities. We go and check their operations. You know, we don't see anything of that nature that people are painting outside. You know, they've been here, they've provided a job to the people here. You know, but it's unfortunate that today these incidents happen. People were tagging that these Chinese doings are sometimes it's fine. There can be some Chinese doing that, but what is in my district for now have been a good benefit for the district as well, and then even to the community. And I provide jobs to the people. So even if they are doing anything bad, it is my people working there. And so it's their responsibility to come and tell me. And all what they tell me is the people are doing good. Myself too, I go there. So now when they bring the finger lakes, we go there and go and check. It was about just 3 months ago that we had information that they've banned almost all the fingerlets that they import from outside, that we want to use ours here. And we did sure to make sure that they don't bring any importation fingerlets into the river. And so we are still on ground checking their activities and all that. But I think when it happens this way, you know, everybody will start talking. This one will start saying this, this one will start saying. But if you don't come to the ground, as Adum FM you've done, basically you will not know the actual fact that is going on. But the fact is, their operation is one of the good operations around.
Now, the Kakum National Park Road is still in a deplorable state, despite the incessant complaints by tourists and other users of the road. It appears the situation is getting worse after an intervention that was truncated after elections. The Queen Mother of the Chifo Himang traditional area, Nana Benanso, is calling on government to make good its promise of making the road to the Kakum National Park motorable. According to the newly installed Queen Mother, beyond the road affecting tourism potential in the area, many people continue to lose their lives because referrals made to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital are affected. Richard Kwejunyako has more.
The road to Kakum National Park has become a serious headache to the people that use it, including tourists that visit the Kakum National Park on a daily basis. The road has been in a deplorable state for years, causing incalculable losses to the Ghana Heritage Conservation Trust, managers of the Kakum National Park. The revenue of one of the world's heritage sites keeps reducing, and the newly installed Queen Mother of Chifo Himang traditional area, Nana Adwoa Benanso, is worried. She says many lives are being lost on the road, apart from the decline of the tourism fortunes of the area.
Our road is very bad now. We have a district clinic here. It's not a big hospital, so many a times they have emergency cases that they have to send them to a Cape Coast hospital because of our road. It's so bad. We don't have an ambulance too. And it's a worry to the district. So I'm appealing to government. That's whoever is in charge. I'm appealing to them. And Akufo-Addo, please, I'm appealing to you. Let your people come to Chifo Himang district just to come and have a look at our road.
MP for Chifo Himang and Deputy Employment and Labour Relations Minister Bright Kubrobe says the traditional area will continue to shine light on education to improve the fortunes of the young ones. Richard Kwejunyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Now, in the last 2 weeks, Joy News has brought you a number of features, stories on factories that have been out of production for a while now. We've brought you the story of the rusting Commander Sugar Factory, the idle Aveime Rice Project, the rotting Pwalugu Tomato Factory, the dormant Ayensu Starch Factory, and the Kumasi Jute Factory. I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. Over $200 million worth of sugar is imported into the country each year, and yet the Commander Sugar Factory is rusting away. %60 of the fish we eat in Ghana is imported, and yet we have lakes, rivers, lagoons, and the sea. We import fresh tomatoes, ketchup, and canned tomatoes despite our fertile soils and the redundant Pwalugu Tomato Factory. We import $1.2 billion worth of rice annually, imports which could have been significantly reduced if the Aveime Rice Project was up and running. Many of our foodstuffs are bagged in jute sacks from Ivory Coast, whilst the Kumasi Jute Factory wastes away. So I could go on and on and on, but what breaks my heart is that even toothpicks, these simple, it's refusing to come out, but these simple wooden toothpicks, these toothpicks are imported. I touched on just 5 items, which cost the country almost $2 billion. That's $2 billion worth of jobs, resources, and forex shipped out of the country. This does not make sense. I repeat, it doesn't make sense. Now, as much as government says it is seeking to partner private firms to build more factories, could we revive the old ones rusting away so we can ease the pressure on the Ghana cedi and keep some jobs in the country? I hope you get the picture, Mr. President, because that's why we've been featuring stories about idle factories. Well, we can only hope for the best. Now, these days, wearing a wig is not only a fun way to change your looks, but a quick solution to a bad hair day. So although it significantly adds to the looks of a lady, what lies beneath may not be that flattering. Selinam Ampo, in the following report, set out to ask if ladies with wigs would want to show what lies beneath.
Versatility and protecting the natural hair are just some of the reasons why women love to wear wigs. But do you wonder what is under the wig that makes many women embarrassed to show in public?
Actually, I just barb my hair. So I want to start a natural something, so I'm just covering up with this.
So if I took off your wig right now, how would you feel?
Please don't. I was tired and I couldn't use a comb. So I just used my hand in doing it, and it doesn't really look good.
Can you take off your wig?
No, I can't do that because quite embarrassing, you know.
Can you take off your wig? I can't take it off. I can't take it off. My hair is too messy in there.
On a bad hair day, the wigs come to the rescue.
Sometimes when you've not gone to the salon, you just want to put on some wig and throw on and go. So
I'm wearing it because it's easier to wear. I don't need to go and sit down for somebody to play with my hair. I just put it on, put it off. That's it. I'm wearing the wig cap because my hair is not braided. Yeah, so I just have it at home, and since I have lectures and I'm late, I can't go to the salon. I just have to put it on it.
Selinam Ampos reports for Joy News. Ampo.
There's a lot that lies beneath, even on my head. Just listening to Joy News Prime with me, Arabic.